E. So, hello and welcome, everybody. 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 Everybody.
Hi.
Greetings.
We are going to start with just, introducing this. So, we are doing this tournament. We gathered a lot of very good players, and they are going to play on some slightly insane maps. For those of you who have left good insight on them, a lot of appreciation. Thank you. It's going to be next week, as you all know, in the weekend, and we are going to hopefully play some very good games. I expect that we are going to have very good competition. The maps are also interesting. Nine of Spades and Luke, if you would like to say some words, go ahead.
Yeah, isn't it in 2 weeks? Not next week.
Yes.
I am horrible.
Alright, cool. You said that and I started panicking a little bit because I was like, oh no, I've got this horribly wrong. But
this is great because less than 2 minutes
time.
ago I told them I'll make mistakes, so at least they are prepared. So yes, hopefully not more of those. They will catch me if I do any of those. But yeah, Nine of Spades, Duke Nukem, if you have anything to say as the reigning champions according to the SPCPT.
Well, I'm not the reigning champion anymore because Duke won, so I'm the retired champion. And just like most retired champions, rather than playing, now I just commentate. So,
see, the thing is, I feel like this tournament was specifically designed to expose me and get me just destroyed completely. I do not have much confidence going into this because we have a ton of amazing players that are playing.
On that note, after my semifinals games in that tournament, right? All games I started, everybody was just like, oh, this Defters guy, we have to play against him. Round 1, I'm Tonar. I'll play 2 trade goods just so you don't make a deal with him. He's ghosts. So I hope you're prepared for that, Luke. It will happen to you.
Oh yeah, it definitely already has started. It has.
Well, you can think of it as you can think of the tournament as a gift, then, Luke, that we're quickly going to, dethrone you from your high position by unless you win this tournament, and then you'll just be the champ forever and ever, man.
Then I'll move to commentary.
That's right. Okay, so we're gonna get rolling. We've got we've done the welcomes and intros here. The only thing we want to say is first we're going to introduce the official tournament maps. Defterus has worked hard. Lots of people have given amazing feedback, and we're going to put those up one at a time, have a little commentary. That should take about 15 minutes, and then we'll get to the main event, which is to draw the factions one game at a time, talk about the players, talk about the factions vis-a-vis those players, maybe a little bit about the maps, although that might be a bit much for our time frame. The whole thing should take about an hour and a half, and Spades may need to cut it at some point because he's got other demands upon his busy broadcasting schedule, right, Spades?
Correct. Had a baby just after my my win there last year, so he's napping now for the next hour and a half. So as long as he doesn't wake up early, you guys have my undivided attention.
That's our timeline. Awesome. I love it. All right, take it away with the maps, Deft.
All right. So for Nine of Spades, I expect this will be completely new. Duke might have seen some of it, and people who have been following the discussions will see it as it's not a lot changed. It's called Almost Half a Dozen Donuts.
All right, let's see it.
There are 2 slices that don't have an empty middle tile. That's where the name came from. Those are the worst slice, which literally only has 3 planets, and the best slice, which has 7. As with the rest of the tourney, the idea is that the red slice starts with Speaker, so they have a good early game advantage to push borders, and the yellow slice will have to, fend off attacks from literally everybody, given how much is in them. The draft,
Sorry, go ahead, man.
The draft, as you all know, is going to be the 7 revealed races will be available to choose from, as well as the slices. to snake up and down on your rolled draft order. So it is very likely that the first pick will be either the best race or the best slice, or maybe there are some other considerations to make. If anybody would like to make a comment here, feel free.
So you've had a bunch of feedback on these maps in general, Deft, and on this one in particular. What's been the feedback? How's it changed? Since it
Well,
first came
in
out?
general, one of the big points that was pointed out to me repeatedly is that the red slice is very bad and the yellow slice is very good, which turned out to be an important point to make. It used to be worse. This slice, 3 planets, I originally thought that there should be less planets in it. Eventually, I saw reason. It is now less insane. It also doesn't have two blue skips, but now has Starman instead. In general, this map got opened up. Movement is less restricted now. There's a lot of good wormhole options to move around for almost all of the slices. And yellow is a bit harder to defend with the Warp Rift now. In general, I would expect this map to have a good balance if the races are very unbalanced. If there's something like Jolnar and the rest are all 1C, 4I races or something like that.
Cool. And this whole problem of the red slice being tough, you've got some pushback on that from some very well-known players in the community, like Olo in particular.
That is correct.
Yeah. So how do you respond?
First of all, thank you. I've gotten some very nice constructive criticisms and very specific ones on how to change things around. Olo especially gave a lot of insight, so shout out to him. The red slice being bad and being extremely so is intentional. You're not gonna necessarily end up in the red slice if you rolled bad, because there was some talk about, oh, I rolled bad, I guess I'll suffer for 10 hours. That's not the intent here. Hope you won't. If you're sitting in the red slice, you have to get creative and you'll have to be aggressive, either in how you buy planets long term, or maybe you eliminate a player. In 14 points, you should have time for that. I would like if people who ended up in the red slice did it of their own volition and they had a plan. Maybe you have figured out what you're going to do because you have Speaker first round. You know what strategy card you will have. And you have an idea that your right door neighbor will either have Diplo or Construction or something similar, most likely. Make use of these things. Be creative. Good players should be able to handle it, not in the, oh, you're a veteran player, you can do it, but in a sense that there is room here for something interesting, some very exciting play, I think.
So Spades and Duke, Lucum, do you guys have ideas about this map now that you've had a look at it?
So my initial impression is, holy smokes, do I not want to be playing against Yin in the yellow slice. With a yellow skip there, and their ability to hold planets, like that's worst case scenario for 7 planets in their
seems a
slice.
bit like it seems a tiny bit like the prelim map for the SCPT tournament in that regard, that the best slice has a yellow skip, so it makes it ridiculously appealing for anyone who wants transit diodes like a lot.
Yeah. So interestingly, I wonder if we draw factions for these games and the guys in those games see Yin in their game and they say, oh, I don't want that map because I don't want Yin to have a 7-planet slice. But conversely, all it really has, I mean, it has 7 planets, so that's good. But objective-wise, you're never getting 3 tech skips. You're really strained to get 4 of a type unless you cut into, like, directly adjacent to a neighbor. But 4 tech skips, you have 1 in your slice, you have 1 you can steal from red, and then your next closest tech skip is maybe Grawl.
Yeah, Gruul or Mir, but you're reaching pretty far.
But Mir, you're cutting like clear across your neighbor space. Like that one's tough. I'm not sure you get there. But yeah, objective wise, they have the 7 planets, but the rest of the control objectives would be harder to get.
On the flip side, I feel like purple is a bad time for a lot of factions, just due to how both of the equidistants are empty or asteroid, so they could have a really rough round 2 if they don't have a way to get to Lodor easily.
You know who's real happy in purple? Ghosts. Ghost is having a
Yeah.
great time in purple. Fly out to Lodor round 1, put a space dock out there, and you're in good shape. Extra actually probably doesn't hate it either. It would take them, well, really slow to expand, but if they could somehow get Lodor on turn 2 or negotiate some way of getting it, not losing it, they're not upset.
Fun fact about what you're just now saying. Yodor is 2 steps away from purple, right? But because of the topography of the map, it's also 2 steps away from green.
And green has an asteroid field in front of their Mechatol path, so yeah. Ghosts in green, just go right for Lodor round 1. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and because they're 14-point games, that is going to change the way these maps get played. So what I'm really interested in is how does
Expect blood.
Yeah, every single 14-point game that I've either played in or spectated has been ridiculously bloodthirsty compared to 10 points. I think it's probably just because there isn't as much of a developed meta, and you're going to have to go and score points that in a 10-point game, you're saying, well, I'm not going to bother scoring this, I'll just score other things.
Yeah.
So you've got to really fight people.
So Jazz is making a comment, a couple comments in the stream chat. So purple needs early grav drive, wouldn't play Xcha there. And then Jasper responds, yeah, Xcha seems like the worst there. I'd play Xcha more than I should. So what do you guys think about that?
Xcha
Definitely
is definitely not there. It's just not there.
They only have one carrier, so even to fill out their slice other than Lodor, they'd have to divert a whole turn going into empty space to get to Lodor. So yeah, Xcha's not.
And they're picking 5th because Speaker's locked over in red. So first round they're getting, I don't know, politics, leadership, one of those cards that isn't really giving you a direct route to exactly
Purple's
what you
rough
need.
for sure.
I would point out that, for example, green is way better for Xcha in that regard. On the flip side, which is surprisingly weird.
Well, Xcha's main thing, not main thing, but one of their primary things is planting their flagship next to Mechatol. And you're not doing that in a slice with an asteroid field next to Mechatol.
Fair enough. I was thinking how it protects all of those planets, and then Yodor itself too, if you ever want to make a beachhead there.
It's a good point from the chat though. Purple does have
bad
easy 4 industrials for purple. They can go to either Saldor or New Albion.
Yeah,
pretty efficient.
That's a good point. I think unless people have more comments on this map specifically, we should move on to the next one, Deft.
That is all right. I just wanted to let it breathe if people wanted to talk about it.
Totally.
The next one, a bit of a meme. You must have heard of it. It is Rex this brackets, you filthy casual. I didn't. Just 1 second. There we go. So as you can see, there's a team going on, so to say. The same is true as on the last map. If you're in red, your neighbors are not necessarily friends. They might be food instead. Some small adjustments have been made here. You do have a wormhole now. In previous versions, red was a little lonely, having no ways to go anywhere because of the supernova, but to my senses, it seems fine now. Fun fact on this map, one of the practice games, a player got eliminated sitting in blue.
Which player?
Some no-name. No, I kid. We were playing with Magi. I was sitting in white, and he decided he didn't need to trust me. So things happened, and I got very lucky. Moving on to the map itself, though. Yellow still has a very efficient fate to Mechatol. And everybody else has a bit harder time. If you have anti-mass and you're a blue race, it's not so bad in any of the asteroid field ones, but good luck in the other 3. I would also like to point out, though, that if you are in the 70% of the population, this is an extremely good Venus slice. Just saying.
There's no such thing as an extremely good winner slice.
Yeah, you're gonna have to back that up.
70% of the time, that is a very good Venus slice.
You're gonna have to back that up, Deft. Elaborate.
Well, you get Sarvine as your starting technology. You come here. Second round, you are lucky and you have Mechatol. Bear with me. You get Hegemonic Policy round 2 or 3 by Lazar Skip. You spend a Mechatol on 2 command counters, and then you build on it for 6 resources. Something like 8 infantry should do it. Because you took Diplo round 2, because otherwise your home system gets taken.
You're really hoping you don't get stalled out of warfare so that you can take Lazar round 1, because otherwise your 1 carrier's here. Gotta hope for some friendly game down here.
I don't think Vinu is the one that people bother. I think I am not saying anything controversial with that statement.
So, but here's the thing, is we could pull Winu out of this bag with Muat and someone else no one wants to play, and maybe someone says, hey, screw it, let's take Winu.
I actually think
Risk the
Muat.
risk for the biscuit.
I actually think Muat is going to be quite popular in the tournament because of the 14 pointers. So I'd be looking out for Muat slices like this purple slice. I think I'd be taking Muat over.
What is better there? That's
I think
the unfortunate truth that every other race is better in a very good Venus slice.
I think the new Mage and Defense grid is giving people like another look at Muat and just going straight for those prototype Warsong 2s. Nah, in 14 points, that and Destroyer 2 can do a lot of work. But
Yeah,
the thing that
The
thing that I want to point out about this map is red is a lot better than the last map. I think red, if they can get a firm grip on Cuse and Raron, they actually have a workable slice just in those 5 planets with Bereglerta and Tibber. Nip Spence.
I agree. I actually think red is a great Muat slice. You have a blue skip to go for gravity drive. You have a War Sun adjacent to a big production system. And you are the only one that can go through the War Sun to get to Mechatol.
Yeah, through the fireball. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, but yes, those are all true. I just don't expect Muat to end up there unless you're first picking Muat.
Yeah. So your expectation, Deft, is that obviously we know that where Speaker is going to end up, and you're thinking that generally there is somewhat of a gradient. Is that what you've seen in the practice games, that people end up sort of picking green, white, then blue, yellow, purple, blue, white, green?
People have not been acting as much as I would have liked to predicted them to. There are people who value things a lot differently than I do, which is fair. So there was a lot of time when people would first pick purple instead of yellow in some situations, or they would just not do any of the gradient bullshit. It was my intention to have something like that going on, but I didn't want to enforce it super hard, other than the 2 extremes, which let's see if I succeeded, right?
Totally. And because unlike, say, the Space Cats Peace Turtles tournament draft method, in this draft method, which maybe we could zoom in on for a second, over to the right of the maps, we know that we're doing the faction draws for each game today, and then the players are going to vote this coming week with a deadline of Friday for their secret ballot votes on the map they're going to play. So they're going to know the map, they're going to know the factions, but at the start of the game, their actual game, they're going to roll for draft order and then snake draft faction or slice. So unlike the Space Cats Peace Turtles, where you know you're going to be drafting slice and then faction, in this case you have your choice. So I'm wondering, if that's going to skew where people sit, because if there's 2 good factions and the rest are mediocre or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to determine a lot what slices go in what order, based on what the factions available are and how that gets prioritized in the draw. Or in the draft, I mean.
So now that Nine of Spades and Duke had a chance to look at this map, do you guys have any thoughts? That's fine to say no. We can just move on.
This
I'm
map,
a little more. I'm excited to see how our Boric performs in a 14-point tournament. They grossly underperform in 10, and I feel like a lot of the time it's because as the game's getting to 10 points in round 5 or 6, they're just starting to get to that point where you're like, oh god. But then again, with new X89, maybe our Boric's even worse. Who knows?
Well, X89 is still very deep. I expect them to do way better. Just like you said.
I'm concerned about them and any non-blue faction with the asteroid field in front of them. Obviously, the supernova is a problem.
I am still somewhat expecting that people will underestimate them, and if you first pick yellow, you still end up with Arborec. Because, well, green skip, lots of resources, a path to Mechatol. I think if I was sitting in yellow with Arborec, I would bet on myself in that game.
And the yellow skip
regardless
as well.
of any other
So
consideration.
you can get Solid,
yellows.
Diodes, Latani 2s, all of that really quickly. And then you're just...
Oh man, that's a killer Arborec slice. Like, there's no way.
exactly. And then if you can move in and stick on a Biz Freer, you have a ton of resources as well. And if purple doesn't have a good way to kick you out, then that is so many planets potentially.
I expect our Boric and Barony to perform roughly a tier better than they generally do in 14-point games, because they both kind of take a bit to get online, and then once they are online, they're pretty terrifying. So give them an extra round or two, and I think they can do some damage.
I think, Barony has a very good start, but then they kind of fall off in the mid game, and then 14-point lets them get back into the game with their huge Dreadnought combo. And then
Have you seen that in action, Luke?
I've only actually played one 14-point game, but I've seen 10-pointers where Ixthian goes tech side or something that lets Barony get ahead and get that combo accelerated. And there's just nothing you can do against that. Like, no fleet is going to be beating a late game Barony fleet.
So look at Barony in purple slice. You have a red skip, so you're skipping to NES, and you have a yellow skip, so you're skipping to Dreadnought 2. Like, that's a dangerous Barony slice. They're also pretty command counter starved, so they have Aranam Mir for 2 extra counters. Like, Barony's in good position in purple.
So Ruffians has made the point that the yellow slice, obviously he's making a joke that we skip Sarween. Obviously, the Arborec would not want to skip Sarween, but allowing them to skip Graviton to transit diodes, I think, is pretty huge for Arborec.
Yeah, I think that's what Duke said. He said take Sarween, skip to transit for the yellow skip.
I feel like in a 14-pointer, you actually have enough time that Sarween is always going to get you enough value.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Because you've got more rounds. Same with hypermetabolism. I can see if you have a green skip in your slice, of round 2 or 3, hypermetabolism for a lot of factions is going to pay off hugely into the late game.
It's my experience that the game goes at least 2 rounds longer, and then maybe some. So I can only agree with that.
All right, this map is awesome. I'm worried that because it's intimidating, it will not get played in any of the 6 games. I think we'll see how that plays out. Maybe if that happens, we force the finalists to play on this map.
I trust our players. I trust our players that they are adventurous and fun, because Rextus is fun if it's nothing else.
All right, let's see the next one.
And our third one, this was a bit of a mix-up from something Aviator made called Exotic Beast 2.0. As per usual, a bloodbath is what we are going for. Conflict should arise on this map as well.
You've played it, right, Deft?
I have not, actually.
Oh, okay.
I set in a second round, and we played until a fourth round when 2 more people dropped. So at that point, we called it.
Yeah. Did you play on this one? I thought one of you guys played on this one.
I played on Rextus.
Got it.
I think this is the map that I think Hunter is currently streaming. So after we finish here, could go and watch that. But make sure to stick around.
Yep.
Does anybody want to tell us how it's going on that map in the stream in the chat? That'd be cool. But Def, you might have introductory things you want to say about this map.
Yes. So yellow, positionally weaker, but just has 3 of the best systems by my count anyway, right next to it or in the equidistance. Purple, a bit less so, but also if there's less to be taken, less people will eat you because both of them have these wormholes here, right? I expect that there's going to be so much war going on around these planets. And not a lot in the other places because, honestly, this is worth fighting for, nothing else is. Basically, everybody can get to Mechatol on this one, instead, unlike yellow. Unlike the other maps as well. So I'm thinking that this is the most balanced out of the 3. This is the one that y'all might want to play if the power levels of the factions end up basically the same. If you draw a Sarge, Onar, Soul, Hakan, Nalu, Necro game or something like that.
Oh man, that's such a good point, Def. Like, what gets drawn today is going to that we haven't made yet is going to a large extent influence the votes coming in from the players in those games.
I would 100% absolutely just, if not suggest all of you players to consider what races you have available. If they are basically the same power, don't choose donuts. It's not going to end well. There should be outliers.
They're listening to you, man. There's 40 people watching this live right now. I mean, sure, people can watch it after as well, but of the 40 people, I'm guessing like there's a good 30 of the participants probably waiting to see. They want us to shut up about the maps and see what factions get drawn. Sorry for watching.
Well, we're going to end that in a few minutes. We didn't put aside too much time for this, don't worry.
No. Spades, what do you think about this one?
Def, you said this was manipulated from one of Aviator's maps?
Yes.
So I got to give props to Aviator. He's actually
definitely have to.
In real life group, so good for him. I really like the wormholes in front of 4 of the systems or 4 of the slices. Just encourage everyone to cut into each other, and in a 14-pointer, I like it, man. Let's see some blood.
I think my favorite thing about this is that how awkward all of these is. Like, you probably end up with all 3 of these, and they are value. Like, there's a lot of value in here, but it's just so awkward to spend all of it. Like,
I think it's only fair if ghosts end up in this game and you if the other 2 wormholes in front of the other 2 slices.
Yeah. And then
for
the agenda that links to all the wormholes comes out, so everyone can go everywhere.
Yeah. And Gloomhaven, then you rip up the if after you use it the second time.
Yeah.
And it can't be used anymore. That's it. It's permanent.
Before we got to these 3, I originally played around with a version of these maps where all of these middle tiles had Yodor in it. Just fuck you, everybody is neighbors with everybody. But
So
I decided against that. Let's keep it a bit more orthodox.
So Aviator's telling us in the chat that he designed this map just for Beast's in real life group at his request, and then he wanted a spicy map, so this is what he made for him. And then you changed it up a bit, Deft. What did you change exactly from the original? Do you remember?
So in the original map, I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit, but just this. Not a lot has changed. Some of the double planet tiles were moved around, but Abyssria and Cuisine Raron were just straight up missing from the map. Everybody was fighting for scraps. And I figured I'll just move the map towards the paradigm I was building them with those ideas. And now we have this.
So you have all the planet systems on this map? And you took out blanks?
I believe that we are only missing 2 anomaly tiles that are empties right now.
Yeah, 2 blanks. Yep. Yeah.
This actually has all of them. Originally, 2 were missing, and that was Cuisine Raron and Abyssria. So now only 4 players are extremely money starved. Hint, hint.
The thing that I like about this map that I've just noticed is so red and blue opposite from each other are kind of they both have 3 1-planet systems. Just blue has better 1-planet systems that are actually more efficient. So they're both.
But scoring 6 planets out of blue or red is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Scoring anything out of red is gonna be tough. I think blue will have an easier time.
Red can do 3 tech skips. That's the one objective they can do. They can just get mid, or they can fight for mid.
Yeah. 4 of a kind is tough in red and a lot easier. But just the resource starvation of the slice itself. If you need to fight for mirror as your 3rd tech skip, like you're so far behind in resources compared to yellow, that it's going to be tough.
Just to give an idea of what kind of strategies, I'm sure our esteemed peerage will come up with better things. I was cooking up. Was just take trade round 1 as red, refresh everybody X-1 except yellow, and use all of that to build plastic. Don't even attack first round, and just get ready to nab those equidistance.
Solid strategy. You're gonna need board presence with a slice that's hungry or that's like that starved for resources. You need plastic out quick.
It also allows you to set up your space dock and your 2 action cards, or maybe you follow Warfare round 1 to get more cardboard on the front lines.
But you're gonna have to be cautious about who's in yellow, because if you're pissing them off by flipping trade and trading with everybody except for them first round, they're not gonna be pleased about it.
That is fair. You'll have to consider a lot of things, I agree. But I expect, in general, that yellow, purple, and such will end up with races that don't have a lot to sell with. For example, yen, to choose a better example, right? They don't have a lot of things you want to buy from them. You just want to have their shit, sort of.
Okay, a couple of things from the chat. First of all, Jazzarm is asking that we. Jazzarm, by the way, is one of the backups for the tournament. He was one of the original invites but couldn't make it. Couldn't confirm whether he could make it or not. He's asking Deft if you could pin all these versions of the 14-point maps in the map thread for the tournament, so that we just have these there.
Yes, I can. I just unpinned them so that people would play on the most recent versions.
Sweet. And then the other thing from another invitee who said no, well, basically Raptor was being asked if he was playing, and no, Raptor declined to play because he only plays Franken. So we're going to sadly not have Raptor in the tournament with us.
Well, I guess the next tournament's a 14-point Franken then.
Yeah, exactly. So the Raptor can play. And for those who don't know this, Raptor is the lead conductor of the mod that we all spend so much of our lives enjoying. And Raptor says he would consider playing in the 14-point Franken tournament.
The cool. Curator of TTS.
Let's step back, talk about before we wrap up with maps here, talk about the overall theme, how you think it's how you would summarize the overall theme for all the maps, Steph, and what you're hoping for, what you're hoping to see out of the different games. Like, are you thinking we're going to see a lot of just this map or another one? Where are you at on the high level of all the maps?
So even before I started making the maps, right, my first idea was, TI plays very same-ish after a time, doesn't it? And my biggest hope, not even necessarily out of the maps coming, like maybe it will just be the players playing Bong, but my biggest hope is that there will be interesting play. There will be like maybe solid and orthodox, but interesting play. Maybe you just decide that you'll eliminate somebody round 1. Maybe you go into the game with that notion. I don't know. And secondly, I want blood. That's my second consideration. I thirst for the blood of people who'll die and bleed on these maps in all the strife that will come. Yeah. I'm a nice person otherwise, but this game brings that out of me, and I hope you'll all enjoy doing that.
Cool. Well, we want to thank not only Deft, obviously, for a labor of love here.
There has been so many people.
Yeah,
doing so much for this tournament.
Are there some people in particular that you want to point out, Deft, about the maps?
About the maps, definitely
for that.
Olo, Aviator. A lot of our commenters, Jazz, had things to say. Billy comes to mind. Matt, I also talked with. There was just so many people. I'm sorry if I'm missing you. You should be sure of me appreciating it.
Cool. All of us appreciating it for sure. Okay, so I think without further ado, then we will come to the main event, and we will draw factions for the 6 preliminary games, which will happen the weekend of
2 weeks
May.
from now, not 1 week.
Yeah, that's right. May 15th to 17th. I don't think there's a way to get the lineup on here. We didn't pre-do something. I can't just get the image in here, right? Or can you do that? Flat, can you put that image over the map with the lineup of the games? Is that possible? Anyway, you think about that, and if you can, that'd be awesome. I can announce them as we go. So we're going to start off with game 1. Game 1 is happening on Friday, May 15th at 17 UTC, 1 p.m. Eastern Time start. And the participants in that game are going to be Anarchake, Imzen, Jaybird, John, TG Welch, and Vision S. And the Three Stooges will be streaming that game together. Quantum Octopus will be hosting the Twitch stream, and his good buddies Arwaz and Yin for Life, who has many other names. Yin for Life will be co-commenting that game on the live stream. All the games, by the way, will be recorded and sort of hopefully turned into YouTube videos to be posted later, but they'll be available for X number of days on most people's Twitch channels anyway, as will this video today. So yeah, without further ado then, game number 1, let's have the faction draw conducted by Luke, the 2020 Space Cats Peace Turtles champ.
Okay, so in this bag we have all 17 factions, and I will shuffle it up, and then we'll grab out the first of the 7 factions, which will be Sun.
That's so good.
And then we'll have Yin, L1Z on X, Arborek, Hakan, Jolnar,
Oh, that's amazing.
last but not least, Extra, or probably least.
You can just delete extra.
Yeah, let's just So these are our 7, and this is a good set to start off with, I think.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That is so good.
Oh. So who's in game?
I think I made this exact example of a lineup that is basically the same power.
Yeah.
So in this game, we've got Anarchake, Imzen, Jaybird, John, TG Welch, and Visionus. I think John for sure knows how to play Turtles well. I'm not sure who else of those players really loves those factions. I know that Jaybird has had a love affair recently with Yin. Yeah, but that's just an amazing lineup for a
If I'm in that game, I'm doing everything I can to keep Hakan out of TG Welch's.
Yeah.
So TG Welch said that their favorite faction was Hakan, and Anarchake said their favorite faction was Arborek. So those people must be feeling pretty happy about this draw. Although, let's not forget, we have the terror of 10 point, the Clan of Sar, but in 14 point, maybe not quite as good, but still definitely would expect to see them in the game.
One of the best things about this, right, is that Arborek is better than Xja, but they're probably not better than Yen. So if they end up with 6th pick with the new Omegatex, then they just have Majin on 3 planets round 1 with 2 PDS. I think they can stand up to the big boys in such a situation in a good slice.
The thing I'm worried of if I'm Arborek is L1Z1X getting inheritance systems and then getting War Sons and X89 and then steamrolling everyone.
For sure. Well, that's the thing with both Yin and Arborek. You have L1, Z1X, and Jolnar, who could both take X89 at pretty much any point they want to. So if you're threatening and you're holding a commanding position on Mechatol, don't plan on doing it for long.
That's a good point from chat. Jolnar can choose one player to feed X89 to if the table does have an Arborek problem.
I feel like they're going to have
Oh,
a SAR problem before they have an Arborek problem. Is what I would sell it as the Arborek for sure.
Even if you have a star problem, you're really worried about it, fine. Take extra in the game and just quash until you see that the bomb come off.
Which faction do you think gets left out of this draft?
Extra.
Extra.
Unless, as Jaybird is saying in the chat, the 6 of them make an agreement to not pick Jolnar, I think Extra's not getting picked.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
Just don't think they can stand up in terms of plastic to any of these other factions.
I'm going with L1. I think that Xcha, there's a lot of equidistant systems on these maps with planets, like rich planets in the equidistance. Xcha, that's when like Xcha shines. Xcha shines when there's money in the equidistant systems because they can use their flagship and potentially PDS network to lock down not just their slice but the equidistance.
Yeah, to
really
ensure
Listen,
that they never get disadvantage in the deals. Yeah.
as a
What's
fellow Canadian, I understand that you think passive aggressiveness and diplomacy will win the day, but I'm telling you, these crazy Americans are gonna pick the aggressive factions and go at each other's throats.
But
I'm not even
Xcha,
American, and yet I'm one of the most aggressive players. That's horrible.
but I think that's, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I just think that Xcha is such a stronger faction on on these maps where there's so much value in the equidistance. But that's just me. I predict L1 is left out of this game. Fuck it. What's Vision X's
Chat made
plan?
good points about the economics of Extra. With Hakan and Jolnar in the game, Extra makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Yen with the yellow skipping a good slice, right? Both Rextis and Donuts, I believe, have that situation going on. So if you're sitting in yellow, don't expect to see Yen. If you get on those two. But maybe the others will let you. Who knows?
All right, let's move on to game 2. Shall we? Does anybody else have anything else they want to say?
I think we said everything.
All right. So what happens? That first one zooms up in the corner. Great. Look at that. High tech. Flat
I moved
tomatoes.
it.
High tech.
Wow, that fade out was nice. I dig it.
All right. Spades, you are up. Draft for game 2. I'm just going to read out the participants and the time. So we've got game 2, Saturday, May 16th at 8 UTC. That's 4 a.m. Eastern, with the champ, Luke M., Micmac Moose, who was also in the final against Luke. So we got two Brits facing off once again. Olo, who, as far as I know, didn't play in this year's tournament or last year's, but that may not be the case. I'm not sure. But is definitely one of the best.
Logo.
Olo is definitely one of the best TI4 players who plays on TTS. And Pandaboy, who's also an awesome player. Yvonne, and who's a more recent addition to the community, who's been playing a ton, is really sharp. But the really funny participant in this otherwise Euro game at 4 a.m. Eastern time is Space Cats Peace Turtles Matt Martins chose deliberately to play in this game. I have no idea why. I have speculations.
He wanted
You know what's
excuses,
funny
if
is
I recall.
Yeah.
he's not even Eastern, he's Central Time, so he's waking up at 3 a.m. to play in this.
Exactly. So we're gonna see.
He'll be back in bed by like 5 though, so
When he gets eliminated, yeah, probably.
exactly.
I mean, I gotta say, not only did we prioritize getting Matt and Hunter and Blark Knob, who really have organized all these amazing tournaments for TI4 players over the years, over the past few years here. But not only we prioritize getting them in games, but I really prioritize giving them their choice of games. So in the scheduling, so Matt just wanted this game, so he gets it. Olo, Luke, all the good players who are playing, and at 3 a.m. So I hope it goes well, Matt. and everybody else. So let's have the draw and see what you guys are going to be choosing from.
I just want extra so bad so that Matt has to play them again. All right, giving it a shuffle. We got Mentak, Yasarl, Sar, Jolnar, Soul,
Oh,
Excha, and Winu. Oh, this is amazing.
first map that comes to mind. Rex this. Just saying. Make us proud.
Oh,
Oh my
man,
goodness.
this is not the balance that that Def was talking about in
No.
the map promo.
Oh,
Uh,
I love it. I love it.
So we've
Alright.
got 3 top tier factions, and then 4, maybe 3.5 not top tier factions.
I think if you just say 3.5 factions, you're already right.
Hey, I mean,
Well, we do
this-
have we do need to note that we've got 2 players in this game whose favorite factions are Extra. That's Micmac Moose and Panda Boy. We've also got Matt, who put Jolnar as his favorite faction, and Mentak. Luke, you have the Mentak as your favorite faction. Tell us about that.
yeah, it might surprise a lot of people because in the podcast I kind of lied and said that I liked factions that are more tournament good rather than factions that I actually like. So Menpak is actually my favorite faction just to play as because I think they have a really nice tech path that's also really unique. No one else really does their tech path and does it as well as they do, and their abilities are really synergistic. Like they just add up to a nice overall package, I think.
I'm looking forward to the 6 yellow 14-pointer Mantac.
Exactly, yeah. You can just get every yellow tech, and it's amazing.
Integrated economy.
And
for
on
the
top of
win.
that, with an extra level 2 objective, you're just that much more likely to get a spend objective that mirror computing synergizes with.
Exactly. Mentak really thrive on doing spend stage 2s with mirror computing, so
So
that'd be
this
great.
might be controversial, but just because of the circumstances and it being a 14-pointer, I would just straight up move Mantak over here and say that he's up to the big boys in this situation.
Honestly, I'd swap out them with SAR a little bit. Like, as Duke said on the last draft, SAR and 14 points, I'm not sure they have the legs to make it there.
Especially if Mantak is in the game, right? Like,
I think similarly,
a third of your
Yasarl shouldn't be
races.
counted out of 14 point because I guess their issue in 10 point is if they go all the way up green, they lack the mobility. But now they kind of have time to get everything that they want to online, and it'll get Magion off maybe.
Oh, right. Plus 2
Loads
rounds
of
of
range,
Magion, and it's
And-
also late game cards.
Yeah, if there's control objectives, they can stall the table out and take them, and they can do that.
Yeah.
fairly
Never count
effectively.
Yasarl out. That's true.
So
That's true.
I feel like Yasarl
And you know what?
is most vulnerable early. So if there's like a pact, just beat up the Yasarl early. But I'd
So-
say this game, maybe Winnie don't get taken and we see this, or maybe someone goes crazy and we see Extra not getting picked.
Well, if we are ending up on Rex this like Deft wants, maybe
I
Winu
would
does
love
get
it.
picked for that purple
Mm.
slice, you know? Who knows? Maybe Matt is so sick of playing extra for 3 months that he takes Winu in purple just to rift it for the biscuit.
He
Being
has
told,
won.
I'm being told in chat that Matt already said he'll pick Winu over Extra.
Well, what's his next guide? Because isn't that who he's picking?
Another thing I would say in here is that you should not be scared about the horrible slices in the imbalanced maps, especially with a lineup like this, right? Like Jonar can substitute off their home system and nothing else. They don't need Baraglirta. We should take that away from them, but I wasn't allowed to.
So the one thing to consider, I think, with Rex this is uprooting SAR from Mechatol.
Yeah, but there's only one
path
entrance.
into Mechatol. That's tough.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more X89 play in this tournament, in the 14-point games.
Now, in the one practice game I had with this setup, it almost came in clutch, but there were initiative problems with crippled defenses and the PDS. So X89, good technology now. Who knew?
That being said, though, even if Winnu are being played, then if Winnu take Rex immediately and then get rammed into by a Sarball, then I don't see that ending well for the Winnu regardless.
Yeah,
I think you guys are playing with Omega Techs.
Yes, yes, we
So
are.
Omega Techs are a slight buff to Winnu because they start with that Space Dock and PDS on Mechatol. Even though it comes down after they take it, they now have the ability to Magion that planet. I mean, they're still 2 techs away from Magion, but
To Magion it.
Or not Magion, sorry, Magion.
Yeah.
I think SAR is not necessarily a big problem, so long as they are kept away from the asteroid field slices and the yellow and purple slices. Like, as long as they are sitting with the supernova or the nebula in front of them, I think it's fine. Like, I genuinely am not scared about a SAR in a 14-pointer in the same way I'm scared about a Mentak or a Jonar.
So, is there anything else that people want to say, either in the chat or in the group here?
Just for the risk of SAR, I think I'm not taking Rex this. If I'm voting on this game, I don't want 2 asteroid fields adjacent to Mechatol, real tough to get at with a Sarball on Mechatol.
Good point.
I think if I'm in this game, and I am, by the way, I'm not liking Jonar, because if you're a Jonar and you end up sitting next to Mentak, then Mentak can kind of abuse the fact that you're going to be getting trade goods when you get attacked, and making themselves a real nuisance. And SAR as well. If Mentak gets adjacent to SAR early, they can skim off some of that goodness.
Are you saying that the nation that is supposed to be bullied might actually get bullied this game? Amazing.
What it sounds to me is like you really need to take Mentak.
I really want
to steal from SAR, steal from Jolnar, get 6 yellow techs, and just, have yourself.
I completely agree with the Mentak up there.
I want to be Mentak, Sol, or Yssaril, because I want to be these factions that just are solid. I think Jolnar and SAR are both really good, but they can be taken advantage of in ways that these factions can't as much. I think Sol are a really just good pick for just being incredibly solid and hard
Start with Hyper in a 14-point game. Yeah.
Exactly.
I promise something here, Luke. If you're Mentak, I don't want you going easy on Winnu. I want you pillaging them all game long. Just because they're winning doesn't mean they get free pillages.
See, this is the other good thing about having like players targeting me because of my recent successes, is now as Mentak, I don't have to be the nice player. I can just be like, hey, I know you're going to be playing all your action cards on me anyway. I'm going to pillage everything.
Yeah, man. This is going to be a pillage-rich game for Mentak. I'm looking forward to seeing it. All right, let's move on to Game 3 now. In Game 3, which is also on Saturday. So Saturday, May 16th, is just got an amazing lineup of games. I don't think anything like it has ever happened. It's going to be so dynamite. So Saturday at 15 UTC, that's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we've got Blarknob, who is the longtime organizer of the Gen Con's TI4 tournament, also known as Knob Daddy. So we got Knob Daddy, Kraken, Ginger, Mantis, Seven, and Zendog.
Oh my god, 7 and Ginger in the same game?
And Mantis. And these other guys. Like, it is gonna be an amazing. It's the best lineup in the tournament. I think it's so awesome. So we have that game at 11 a.m. Eastern, and on the Saturday, and they're going to be playing with, let's see it, Luke.
Oh, yeah. Who we got? First out of the bag, Necro.
Nice.
Clan
Absolute
of
beast. Best race for 14 points.
Bar
none. Embers of Muat. The Barony of Letnev making their first appearance. The Extra back like the bad penny. The Sarlacc
Yes! Oh, fuck, they're with Necro.
And the Winnu.
Look at that.
So we've got some first appearances for Mentak, Barony, and Sarlacc and Necro. So some really interesting factions for 14 points.
What
So
a
we have
game.
Zendog saying he wants to play Muat, Mantis saying he wants Letnev, Seven saying he wants Winu, Blarknob also liking Letnev. So we've got some fans out here of these factions.
Wow.
Yeah.
If
That
Necro
is-
wasn't in here, I would say this was a Sardak Nor game, but now it just isn't anymore.
I feel like we just have to draw attention to Necro as being probably I'd say they'd be absolutely at the top of my tier list for 14 point.
So if there's like a triple S tier, Necro is above that, in my sincere opinion. It's just no question about it.
In
'Cause
14
Necro
point.
are insane.
In 14 point, yeah. Their
Yes.
economy is so strong into the late game. And just looking at faction text that they'll be able to get
Oh my god,
their
these
grubby
players,
hands all over.
So this group
these
does
players-
not strike me as the group that says let's ban Necro because it's not fair.
not
It's
a
the group
chance.
that says I have a 1 in 6 chance at getting Necro. Get them in that group because I want to play them.
Oh yeah, man. There is not a chance that Necro doesn't play in this game. Like this game with these players and these factions is going to be insane. Like, oh my god, so violent.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
Necro is sitting in red, right, everybody? Can we agree that Necro should go in red?
It should. I agree.
I mean, yeah, it just depends on whether the others all like it depends on what the others choose after the first player chooses Necro, right?
So,
if people
like
choose
this
Slice-
previous game, this screams to me, take one of the more unbalanced maps. Everyone else, basically the same power level. Necro? Oh my god.
yeah.
It's just they need to be in a position where they have a hard time exploiting their insane economy.
I think another faction to point out is Sardak. Sardak Nor in 14 point is probably quite a bit better than their 10 point.
They get improved an extreme amount. I think it will come down to whether Sardak Nor can make friends with the Necrovirus. If they can, if they agree that they too should have exos that will never blow up at each other, then they're in a good position, both of them. If Sardak Nor is not friends with Necro, I think Necro eliminates them for exo too.
If I'm Sardak, I'm thinking, can I go in one of the yellow slice, get construction round 1 to double dock my home system, then just pump out fighter 2, carrier 2 fighters that are going to be hitting on sevens like the hybrid crystal fighters, and just fuel my fleets that way rather than giving exos to Necro. Would be interesting.
Well, I agree that that's a good strategy. I'm just saying, Barony with the no-Euclidean Duranium Dreads, and Muat with the War Suns, and the Sarballs, those all scream.
Yeah,
Kill me with an Exo 2, please.
this is a scary game.
Especially with these players, like, can you imagine either Mantis or Seven on this map with Necro? Like, just... well, not on this map, but like in this setup.
Mantis is a little more low-key than jamming Necro down your throat most of the time. I've played with them. I see a nice slow and steady SAR just build up in the corner, let Necro negotiate. Could you picture Ginger on this map as Necro? Talking to everyone, trying to get ship sacrifices. I hope your guys' Saturday's cleared up, because this is going to be like a 22-hour game.
So
Let us hope not.
once again, this is game 3. I've started listing the players on the side here. This is game 3 on Saturday, May 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern, 15 UTC. It is going to be epic. Let us move on to game number 4, my game, on Saturday as well, starting at 18 UTC. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. And the game participants are also pretty amazing. We got Brian, Colin, who's one of our dark horse players. We sought him from outside. He's actually Connor's cousin. He plays in Connor and Gen Con Alex and a couple other people's home group, real life group. And Connor says he's amazing. So we've invited Colin as a dark horse candidate. We've got Jefferson, who's obviously really well known in the community, as is Magi, myself, and Quarteresque, who is the other really dark horse candidate. He's a newer player in the community, just a month or two. and he is a really skilled player. I've played a few games with him, really thoughtful, really creative and dynamic. So those are the 6 players. Most of them have big reputations already, but Colin and Quarteresque are our dark horse candidates. Both ended up in this game. So we're going to get, Spades to draw this one.
All right, just shuffled up. First one out. Necro. Because we haven't talked about them enough. Extra,
What is
who I don't
going
think
on?
we pulled out yet, have we? Yasarl. Arbo. Another Winu. Jeez. Hakan. And Ghosts.
I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it.
So it can happen. They can pick Exotic Beast and throw up the if twice, and just everybody has a wormhole in front of their home system.
Bears repeating, extreme imbalance in the races. Choose one of them sexier maps.
Yeah, I'm really happy about this list of factions for my game, I gotta say.
So you know how Necro always tells you they are not the big bad and you should treat with them and it will be okay? No! Don't! Or maybe do. Maybe you are like that.
Yeah, the first thing that's jumping out at me is that Extra are now being drawn for every single game so far, so maybe they'll end up getting played. And we've got Winu as well.
I'm just saying, if all 6 players in all 6 games that they win play Extra, then we are going to have a finals where all of them will play Extra. Just saying. That will happen if you guys make it happen.
What do you think about Ghosts in a 14-point game? This is the first Ghost poll we've seen. I'm worried about it. I love Ghosts, but I'm worried about Ghosts in a 14-point game.
I think they also get better by having good late game fantasies to go for.
For sure.
A lot of the
I recently saw a really well played Ghost game on a stream this podcast made. Actually, I know the guy that played them and did so well. So Duke, what do you think about Ghost making it to 14?
I think Ghosts are in a bit of a pickle where in a 14-point game, if they manage to fly under the radar, they can pull off some sneaky things. But I just don't think that their backbone, economy, and abilities are strong enough to really stand up against like Necro, Hakan, Arborek, those factions. So I'm worried for Ghosts, but I think that they do have some crazy things that they can pull off.
So sidebar, just for a sec. Matt just jumped into the chat and says, Mentak, Yasarl, Star, Jolnar, Soul, Extra, Winu. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Luke, about Ghosts. I'm worried about Ghosts fundamentals. However, the fact that Hakan and Xcha are both in the game with 4 commodities, along with Ghosts. B, the fact that Hakan's in the game, so there's just going to be lots of money flowing around, lots of trading happening. And then, so that's going to help Ghosts. And then C, the fact that Necro's in the game and they're going to draw a lot of heat, as Hakan will as well, I think, and probably Arborek later in the game. I don't know, anyway, we'll see. The other downside of Ghosts in the 14-point situation, as we saw in my semifinals game, there's the agendas that can totally torch you, and those agendas are all the more likely to come out in the wormhole agendas are all the more likely to come out in a 14-point game, and that worries me.
This is the perfect game for that, in my opinion, because Extra is in. Veto on a stick can be bought and agreed to, especially because one of those agendas fucks them up too, the PDS one.
So this is a game with no 2 commodity factions in it, and the self-proclaimed Necro Whisperer Magi. If he ends up with Necro and takes trade 4 rounds in a row, this is going to be a very trade good heavy game.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Although I want to see Magi take Oberek and not take Sarween Tools.
I agree, 100%.
That is, I'm gonna just put that out there. I want to see an Oberek game go well.
If ever there's been an opportunity to put your money where your mouth is, now's the time, Magi.
Well, I think
Arborek with Sarween is terrible. Prove it.
I just think this table for Arborek is pretty good.
There's a bigger threat they can point at.
Yeah, there's a lot of actions. There's a lot of actions here that you're not that scared of if you're Arborek, and you feel kind of safe just like sitting and building up. But getting Latani 2s when there is a Necro is sometimes dubious.
Also, you can just go Varsons as Arborek in a 14-pointer on this map, on these maps especially.
That's going to be hard to do without Sarween, though.
I just want to say,
if you don't have Sarween, you have a yellow skip, right?
I just want to say, as a participant in this game, that I am happy with any of these 6 factions. I think it is a dynamite lineup, and it's going to be a super, super competitive game. I think it's going to be pretty wild. I love it. The if will be flying.
The Israel Hakan combo, definitely something else to look at, but I don't think we need to repeat that one for our audience.
We're getting on to Game 5, Sunday, May 17th. This is Defteris's game. This is at 13 UTC, 9 a.m. Eastern Time start. I will say that we also had a 9 a.m. Eastern Time start on the Saturday. That was Game 2, but we moved it back to 4 a.m. to accommodate the Euros. So we've got this 9 a.m. game on Game 5 on Sunday, May 17th with Connor, Defteris, Janor, Ruffians, Arwise, and Schroeder. So we've got 2 of last year's finalists, Janor and Schroeder, facing off again. And we've got, semifinalists from this year. It's a stacked lineup. Arwise and Ruffians will provide comic relief along with Janor and Schroeder. I expected this to be a very skilled and very funny game. And
Janor and Schroeder play each other in real life too, right? They're that Chicago group?
I was not aware of that.
Before we draw the races, I would like to make a declaration to the other 5 players. I am nice. I do not thirst for blood. I would like us for all to be friends. You may proceed, Patience.
No, man, it's not my job to proceed. It is Luke's job to proceed.
Okay.
Yes,
No. Yeah, Luke. Yeah. You're off, right? Luke.
Okay, cool. Let's draw then. So we have... Oh my god. Extra again. This is rigged. Okay.
Too much, man.
Mentak.
Mess with the scripts.
Hakan. Yssaril.
This is crazy.
Arborek.
Oh no.
And Ghosts.
Like, is Nalu even in the bag? Like, what else is in this bag? Yeah, that's all there.
I'll just press R over the last one a few more times if you all agree.
All right, there's Nalu. Okay, Nalu is actually in the bag, just so everybody can see. All right.
It's a good thing that we didn't script it because
not in the game.
It's not like I'm just saying that it's a good thing we didn't script this because it's not like the extra guy just came out on this other podcast. That's a thing, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, the podcast guide to extra was they really suck at getting to 10 points, but it was not they're really good at getting to 14 points. So, expect stallouts to continue on the extra front.
So extra is in all 4 games.
Yes.
Winu is in 3 out of 5 so far. All 5 games, I should say. Oh, this is awesome. All right. So what do people think about this lineup? This is so
I'm
good.
happy I don't see a Necro in this one because 2 games that will, in my mind, somewhat dominated by Necro is enough.
Well, the attitude should be the same to 10-point games with Julnar in them, right? Like there should be a bit of a tip towards trying to single out Necro and making them work for it themselves. The problem with Necro is as people are attacking you, you're not making $4 every time like Julnar is. Unless Julnar's in the game and you're taking that tech that gets you the 4 tickets.
And
the table should self-regulate. So we'll see.
We'll see. I'm just saying, in my mind, Necro is above what Jonar is in a 10-point game, in a 14-point game. But let us look at the game that doesn't have Necro in it.
Yeah, I'm loving that we've got a Hakan Mentak combo in a game.
I'm sure it won't
I
take
agree.
long.
Yeah.
I'm also
So
actually
trade wise, we have 3 factions with 4+ trade commodities, a bunch of 3s, and then the 1-2 for Mentak, but I don't think that's going to stop them from getting trade goods. So Mentak loves this lineup as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I'm happy that Mentak got drawn in my game, because it's going to be taken from me, but Mentak is my favorite faction. I am very much looking forward to whoever plays them for the fantasy of the 6 yellow, because it's just something worth taking. It's not a meme build, even though it's memey.
So we have Janor saying Yssaril is their favorite faction, and Connor saying Ghosts of Kreese are their favorite faction. So hope they must be pretty happy to see those. And I feel like this group of factions sometimes in 10-point games can be a bit light on the space side of things. Lots of factions that can go down PDS routes could make the game fairly slow in that regard.
Yeah, that's very true. You got Mentak, Winu, Arboric, and Extra with PDS all over the place, and Ghosts doesn't have very far to fly.
And Ghosts can go into that PDS sort of build if construction's getting picked a lot and there's lots of opportunities. But then
I think it was Rex this where the yellow slice had the green skip right beside it.
Yep.
What's that system now? I can't think of it.
Starpoint New Albion.
Yeah, Starpoint New Albion, and the Mentak Diplomacy on Starpoint New Albion turn 1 for Cruiser 2 on turn 1 when no one else can make it to Mechatol in front of you could be a viable play.
It sure could.
Unless Winu's going through the rift, but
since we're talking about Rex this, I also am thinking Ghost of Kreese with wormholes around the place. Like, that's a map that's hard to move around in.
So you were looking for a game with a bit more of a balanced faction setup for your final map for Exotic Beast. How do you feel about the balance of these factions?
I think it would work out well. I think it would. Yeah, like Mentak won't sit in yellow or purple, I don't think, because Mentak is just a better faction than something that should sit there. But maybe that will change. However, Mentak is very good for all of the planets in blue and white. There are so many planets around that you could put PDS on and pressure them that way. Like PDS2s, just round 1, tech into them, don't even need your second carrier because it's a 14-point thing. You can get those planets later. Yeah, I'm feeling Mentak on Exotic Beast a lot. And I think the race distribution is fine for it.
So again, Winu's the one that doesn't make it in this one?
Possibly. Likely.
I'm actually liking that we have Winu in 4 out of the 5 games so far, because I think that's just gonna, like, players are gonna know, okay, these are the 6 factions that are playing. Like, it's actually gonna heat up the map.
And then someone throws in a wild card and picks Winu in red and just messes up everything.
Totally. All right, let's move on to game 6. If somebody wants to write the names, I'll read them out. We've got game 6, also on Sunday, May 17th at 18 UTC. That's 2 p.m. Eastern start, with Aviator, Jahan, Robofish, all the way from New Zealand, Root, Space Cats, Peace Turtles, Hunter. Awesome to have him participating, and Strychnine. So those are the 6 players. And yeah, let's have the last draw, Spades.
Okay, someone give this bag a shuffle so we can see if we can get Nalu out of here without me doing it.
Exactly.
All right. Mentak again.
The Arboric. Let's just shuffle it some more time after you draw 2. There we go. Don't shuffle now.
Hey,
It's Nalu.
So they made it in one game at least. That's good.
They will also be picked if these are the races. Oh look, Necro.
Oh,
Oh,
so this is fun.
Oh.
No extra, no Winu. I like that. So, oof, this is a fun game, I think.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so
that's
about that integrated economy hybrid crystal fighter 2 mirror computing race that doesn't need to spend on technologies, huh? I'm
Oh,
sure it
Necro.
won't end badly.
Oh, Necro.
How do you know they don't have Latani too?
Oh, my apologies. My mistake.
yeah, and then you're also missing out the fact that Necro could take Yin Spinner and Inheritance systems.
They
really-
sure could.
Really,
I am
Yeah,
more scared
explore
of
all
that.
possibilities here, Deft. Come on.
I'm wondering if it's Arbo or Ghosts that gets left out of the draft. Or yeah, Arbo,
So these five are
Ghosts.
in for sure, you guys think, eh?
I
Well,
don't know.
Lizix
not
is
hot
a
on
problem
L1.
for Arborek, and Lizix is a problem for everybody who likes ground forces. Yin
Yin.
definitely makes it in because of the early game power, I think.
I'm not hot on L1, so I'm not a good judge of that. But I think a lot of people are. What about the favorites? We know the favorites for these players, or at least what they've told us.
I know that Strict 9 loves to play Necro. Like,
So
it's very
their
much up there.
favorites. Strychnine said Muwat. Hunter said Sardak. Root likes Mentak. I know Root's a big Mentak guy. Robofish is Joel Nar. Jahan is Cruz, and Aviator is Yasarl. So looks like Root could go for Mentak. Jahan could go for Cruz.
But it
That's
will
it.
also depend on your roles, right? Maybe they play it up that they want a good slice, so they want one of the races that
Oh, yeah,
benefits
for sure.
a lot.
I can say this is my favorite race, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna give up a good slice for it.
And it doesn't mean also that you're going to give up races that you think are better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just because if a faction's your favorite doesn't mean you're going to pick them. This is a tournament, so we have stakes.
We sure do.
I'll be really interested to see this game. It's Matt and others have characterized this game as like just a bunch of friends chilling in and having a fun game, along with Jahan meticulously calculating all the possibilities, his path to victory. But I actually think with these factions, it's going to be a pretty spicy game. And I'm also just really cool. I think it's just really cool that Robofish is joining us. He's played in the Gen Con tournament finals. He's not super active in the TTS community. He just actually had to join the TI4 Discord to be able to participate in the voting and discussions that have been going on. So I think it's great that he's joined us. And yeah, I mean, with Hunter in the game as well, like it's just going to be a super fun game. But I think with these factions in play, it's also going to be pretty fierce.
So because I can't stop talking about Necro, I was just thinking if Lizix is the only one who researches Dread 2, then maybe Necro doesn't have Dread 2 this game because there are so much better racial technologies out there.
Yeah, if I'm late game Necro in 14 points and Nalu's in my game, I'm taking Neuroglaive 100% of the time.
I mean, maybe you're saying no to mirror computing then.
Well, what
or
I'm doing
Latani
is
2, or
I'm taking Neuroglaive. Then it's my last action every round. I'm attacking Mentak and taking mirror computing in time to score the spend objective.
Correct, 100%. That is next
Like,
level thinking.
you can switch out techs. You need hybrid crystal fighters. You can take them. You need Neuroglaive because you think you're going to get piled up on. You can take it. If you now don't want Neuroglaive because you need someone to activate you as part of a deal, you can get rid of it.
This is probably the weakest lineup of trade so far. So maybe Mentak doesn't even come into this game.
That's actually
I mean, you don't have Hakan, you don't have anyone other than Ghosts as a 4+ commodity race. You're going to have a lot of battling between these guys, so maybe they're not doing much trading, and maybe you're not pillaging much. Maybe Mentak doesn't make it into this game.
I mean, I don't know. If you have Scavenge, you don't need the other players to trade. Like, you will have the most trade goods. That is just how the faction plays.
Scavenge or pillage?
Salvage operations. Completely
gotcha,
third
yeah.
thing. Like, that's not attack, necro, wheel, steal, and it's very useful, especially in a 14-point game. You're going to build a lot of units with it.
All right, so let's summarize. First of all, before we summarize and look at, we've got up on the screen now all 6 games. So if you guys want to switch over to your view of Twitch, you can see that right up on the screen. While you're doing that, there's been questions about prizes in the chat on the Twitch stream, and I got to say, I have been toying with the idea of offering a prize. Like, I think I'm just going to do that. I'm going to announce right now. The prize will be when and if Fantasy Flight Games ever comes out with an expansion for TI4. I'm issuing an IOU to the winner of this tournament to purchase an expansion for them and mail it to them. So that will be the grand prize for the tournament champion, is a copy of the eventual, if it ever happens, TI4 expansion. Don't trust them.
Well, now that there's a prize, can I come play?
Spades is asking if he can come play now that there's a prize. Is that what I just heard?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 100%. I thought this was just for fun. I mean, I'm already the champ's champ, so I didn't need to do it just for bragging rights. But if there's actual tangible prizes involved,
you want to be on the backup list?
yeah, sure. Throw me on there at number 42 or wherever you're at on backups, and if the entire tournament drops out, I'll jump in.
No, it's not that bad actually. It's just a few people. Cool, man. I'll do that. I was kind of toying with the idea, but yeah, I mean, who knows if an expansion will ever come out? But if it does, there's an IOU sitting on the table for the winner. And as everybody knows, I've never broken a non-binding. It's true, man. It's true. All right, so let's look at these factions. So is everybody looking at their Twitch view here? Yeah, you can see. So like, let's look at the patterns here. Let's talk about it.
So we have exactly half the games with SAR in it. More than that of Vinu. I wonder if there will be something like that going on in the actual games. I certainly hope so. Vinu would be cool to see at high level play.
We have 5 of the games with extra in, yet I don't think they'll win a single one.
And they're almost guaranteed to be in at least 4 of them, because Winu's also in 4 of the 5 extra games. So
yeah, I'd love to be proved wrong. I would love for someone to come out and absolutely crush a game as extra. But
Micmac Moose is gonna do it just to spite you.
Hey, Micmac's extra is great. So.
One of my favorite parts of the tournament, just sidebar here, was when Micmac said he was gonna take out your flagship, and you were like, "Do what you gotta do, man," and he just couldn't pull the trigger. That's got to be deflating.
I read that. I was like, yeah, I
read him like a book. Yeah, no, I appreciated that. That was great.
But I was worried for a second.
I'm thinking that we've got Arborek playing in at least a couple of these games. They're in games 1, 4, 5, and 6s. I'm thinking because Windows in a couple of those at least, like we're gonna see some Arborek, and I think they're gonna be stronger in 14-point games. I'm really looking forward to that. See, like, if we have enough comparison that it won't just be a one-off. I think we're gonna get a sense of how Arborek plays in 14-point, like a pretty strong sense of it. It's unfortunate that that's not the same for Muad. We've only got Muad in one game, in game 3.
Just saying, Rex this. Can't stop promoting the best one.
To everyone in game 3, my absolute favorite win of all time was the Muat win in the tournament last year. So if you're just looking for good memories, try and win with Muat.
Then game 3 is also the only one we have Sardak in, another faction that I was really looking forward to seeing in 14-point games. And some
Barony, right?
Hands. I know Sardak has a bit of like a cult following where there's a lot of players that just like playing them, even if they're not the best. But looking forward to seeing some Sardak action, hopefully.
That's also the only game with Barony, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen enough Barony. I'm not upset about not seeing more of it.
That's true.
Only game
That's
with
true.
Barony, and there's only one Nalu in that game 6. So curious to see if Nalu holds up just as strong in 14 points as it does in 10. My guess is yes.
I'm thinking that in a lot of these games, factions are going to get drafted before slices. So I'm expecting some pretty unusual distribution of slices. It's going to be super interesting. I think factions will be a lot of people's priorities. We'll see. We'll see how the map voting goes. So on the note about the map voting, what's going to happen tomorrow is the direct messages will go out to all 36 players with kind of a secret ballot list of options and the list of the factions in their game. And then they'll be asked to respond before Friday. Let's pick a time right now. Let's say Friday at midnight Eastern time. Wait a second, I don't put it in. No, we'll say at noon. No, we'll say at noon, and that'll at least make Europe and North America. It'll still be Friday. So we'll say Friday at noon will be the deadline to place your vote for your map in your game. So you don't have to vote before then. And those direct messages will come from me, but your vote will go to Milty. So everybody who's watching, listening, your vote is going to go to Milty, your secret ballot, and Milty is the judge for the tournament. So he will be. Oh yeah, that's another thing we should tell viewers is that all these first round of games, the 6 games happening on this May 15th to 17th weekend, will be moderated, self-moderated by the players, but Milty will be on hand to judge any rules differences that come up. And if anybody gets really nasty, then either Dick or I will be available to step in and intervene, but we don't expect that. These are all mature, well-known people in the community, and we don't expect anything to get too insulting or anything like that. So they'll be self-moderated. There'll be lots of people watching, so nobody's going to cheat because they'll be seen and embarrassed. Yeah, other than that, there's lots of different streaming teams set up. All of that can be viewed in the pin file in the tournament chat thread in the TI4 Discord. But we will know and we will announce the maps on next Saturday, whatever that May 9th. So people in the games will know on Saturday, May 9th, what map was chosen for their game. So it'll be secret ballot, but of course people can hash it out and debate it and talk about it, but nobody will actually know which map you voted for. So you can bullshit. All right. So any other additional comments that the other participants here want to make before we wrap things up?
I am very excited for Arbol play, first of all. And second of all, if some of these late game fantasies come out for 14 points that some of these races are very good at. Like, they don't get the time to shine in 10 points. I hope people will get creative with, like, I don't know, Mentex and Yins and whatnot.
How about you, Spades? What are your parting thoughts here about these factions and these games?
I just want to say good luck, man. You've got outstanding lineup of players. I truly think you probably have 36 of the best. Whoever comes out on top, congratulations. You beat a hell of a crowd.
Cool. And how about you, Luke? What are your thoughts as a participant and as a champ?
Yeah, I'm just more interested in seeing like some of these crazy like players playing rather than the factions or maps and all of that. I just think it will be a great time. I think all the games are going to be really good fun as well. And make sure to check out the streams. We've got a really good streaming team. Lots of different people doing some streaming for us. And yeah, I'll be streaming. I'll be helping stream Game 5 as well as playing in Game 2. So catch me on that one.
Why don't you talk about Flat Tomatoes for a second, Luke?
Oh yeah. So Flat Tomato, not tomato, is my my brother Joel. He's offered to help lead the streaming team and everything. So yeah, huge thanks to him, and he's someday he will play TI at some point. Well, I mean, he's played TI, but at some point he'll play on Tabletop Simulator. I just haven't managed to convince him yet. He's too
Well,
scared.
Flat Tomatoes is not only like teaching the other streamers the ropes if necessary in some cases, some tricks and setting up the overlay thanks to help from Matt. He's also streaming both game 2 with you in it, Luke, and he's streaming game 5 with you commenting. There's going to be a combination of commentators, a bunch of different Euros, including Space Lawyer, and I'm not thinking of the others right now, but there's going to be like 2 or 3 or 4 of them mixing up. I was maybe going to help out, but I'm just going to not get up that early on my game day. And then on game 1, we've got Quantum Octopus streaming along with Yin for Life and Arwise. Definitely going to be a funny streaming crew. Game 3 on Saturday with Blarknob, Kraken, Ginger Mantis 7, and Zendog. It's going to be streamed by I Am Katie with TG Welch commenting with along with her, so that's going to be great. And then for my game, it's Vision S and Jahan, Vision S streaming and Jahan commenting, and then we already talked about game 5 with Flat Tomatoes. And then game 6 is Sunday afternoon, the last game, and that's Nyan Pudge. And I'm not thinking who's co-commenting with them right now. I hope that Matt will join them, whoever is also co-commenting, because Matt, of course, would be funny commenting on a game with Hunter and Root and the others in it. So that's the streaming schedule. We'll be promoting that in the community, so you'll be able to pick that up. Anything else as last minute thank yous to anybody or anything or notifications before we wrap up?
Well, I have one request for the players. Please, there be at least one elimination. That's it.
It would be so funny if you were the one that gets eliminated.
Very fair. And I'm ready to be the sacrifice. Just say. I won't go down easy, though.
I'm thinking, just as a side point, I'm going to throw this out there for further discussion, that the finals game, which will be scheduled either on the weekend after or the weekend after that in May, based on player availability, the finals game, maybe we let the other 30 players who didn't make the finals vote on the map for the finals game, choosing from these 3 maps. Or we could make a brand new map, but we just haven't decided that yet. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there, that maybe the players get their revenge after they lose by voting on the map.
I think if one of the 3 maps isn't selected in the 6 prelim games, that's definitely the map that ends up in the finals. And maybe you do something different for the faction selection or something like that, but I think those are 3 pretty good maps. So
we get to make that up as we go along, I think. And Mick Macmoose is thanking my wife for sparing him for the tourney. And the truth is that my wife is actually finishing up making dinner right now, and so I need to get going because she's already stormed in on me once and told me to get my ass in there. So I'm going to thank everybody for participating today. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. At the end of the day, what's most fun about this tourney is we're pulling in a lot of different people, doing a lot of different things across the community. It's really like a big community party, but it's a small enough number of games and number of people that it's sort of all manageable. So I really hope that that kind of party feeling of it all continues, and that weekend is just going to be a blast of TI4, really. So, Defterus, anything you want to say as co-chair, the person who came up with the idea for the tournament before I jumped on board?
Well, I guess if I have to, I would say that I want to thank you, Patience, a lot, because you just stepped up and did all of the organization when I could focus on the creative side of making the map up and thinking about other things. So thank you.
Yeah, it's my
Along with
pleasure.
everybody else.
I think it's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate that both Luke and Spades made time today. And I'm only sorry that I didn't announce the prize earlier, Spades, because then maybe you would have said yes to playing.
apology accepted. Like a true Canadian, I understand.
All right, man. Okay, everybody, thanks again. I'm going to cut it real quick here and go for dinner with my family. But I'm looking forward
Thanks
to
for having me, guys.
Everybody.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
Okay, thanks for streaming it, Flat Tomatoes. Bye.
Yep. GG, everybody. Bye-bye.